Welcome back. The National Defense Authorization Act includes a requirement for a national cybersecurity director. The director would have about a 75 to 100 person staff. Ari Schwartz is Managing Director of Cybersecurity Services at Venable. He's former Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Cybersecurity. Ari, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program. What does this role look like? What does the person who takes this job what does this person do, and what does this person lead now that we know what we know from the National Defense Authorization Act?
Well, a few things that came through that this time that we found out. So one thing would be that it is a Senate confirmed position. It's the first time that a cyber position like this in the White House is going to be Senate confirmed. And it's also tied into the National Security Council. It would be a principal on the National Security Council, which were both questions that had been asked about, how this would work. The staff, as you said, 75 to 100, that's pretty large for a director inside the White House. Usually, the staff of White House staff like this is not operational. It's usually coordination, more on the coordination side. So that if that's a lot of coordination, then that gives it the ability to kind of do a lot of different types of coordination that previous offices couldn't do. Because you have the staff to do that kind of outreach.
And what does that look like, do you think? What's the coordination that you think is likely for that office to take, and what's appropriate for that office to take, do you think, Ari?
Well, what we've seen is, I think certainly in terms of planning and building the strategies out, we've seen the way that the Trump administration did it was kind of to put a call out for different agencies and then kind of work them slowly across the different and share those kind of get all the different kind of viewpoints and share that information and build the strategy that way. I think in this case you have more hands-on writing of the strategy with different individuals that are working for the director and actually doing the writing with the agencies directly and then bringing it together. It'd probably bring it together a lot faster as well.
How does one discern between coordination and autonomy, authority over some of the other organizations in cyber across government, Ari?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's a question as to whether, having more people means micromanaging by its nature versus the idea that more people means covering more areas. And so I think that's really up to the leadership and whoever this director is going to be coming in and setting a tone that says we're not going to micromanage. The agencies are the ones that do the work. The agencies are the ones that operate. And what we do is set the tone and figure out what issues we want to cover. Having a staff like this, you could have 3 people working on workforce issues alone, right? And that, I think there needs to be that kind of coordination to make progress on an issue like that, as an example. Certainly in terms of how to coordinate between some of the agencies where you have a lot of different regulatory agencies involved as well as sector-specific agencies, and then DHS kind of doing some of its job in terms of critical infrastructure protection. Having people in for each of those areas as well is a place where coordination has been sorely needed in the past.
And you're not the only expert that has told me that. I guess worries may be too strong a word, but I wonder what the structural function looks like, because you have this White House cybersecurity coordinator. Obviously, that's the #1 cybersecurity person in the United States because that person works out of the White House. But there's a lot of authority at CISA. There's a lot of authority at Cyber Command. There are a lot of cyber authorities in the various agencies. I just wonder what that construct winds up looking like, or if you expect that, Ari, to be very fluid, depending who the personalities are that are positioned at all these places.
Well, we have had in the past the ability to separate those out, and there has been some good work that's been done in the past in terms of making sure that we have the right people in place and that those different agencies are doing their job and they're not overlapping. And then having the NSC, or in this case, the directorate, kind of come in and do that kind of coordination where they host meetings, help to host meetings where there's cross-agency issues. And there's so many cross-agency issues here that still exist because it's still a young area that there is the ability to do it. Now, at some point, if that becomes out, if we start doing more operational work out of the White House, that's going to become problematic. One other thing I'd point out is that because this is Senate confirmed, this person, this director, can be called up to testify, which cybersecurity coordinators in the past have not, and people that work at NSC have not been called to testify. That's one of the reasons that the White House is not going to be happy with this position. This person's going to spend a lot of time on the Hill. We still have cyber, reporting to 9 different committees and 27 different subcommittees. So this person is going to be spending a lot of time testifying, meeting with members of Congress, and having staff associated with that, and talking about planning across all the different agencies.
I grin not because of the content of your answer, but because you anticipated my last question, which is what's the ramification of this person being Senate confirmed? What makes that person successful? What's the skill set that this person has? We have about 30 seconds left, Ari.
I think you got to be able to describe what the agencies are doing in plain language, and also understand it technically, and then also be able to understand the process, the workings of government, right? In a lot of different phases, the budget, the national security, the IC world, DOD. I think you got to be able to law enforcement. You got to be able to understand all of those different workings and be able to translate that back to in plain language.
Ari Schwartz, thank you very much. It's great to have you back.
Thank you.